I thank my colleague Christy for inviting us to come to you. Fradreck and Samuel Mujuru are from Zimbabwe. When we go down to Zimbabwe, they are Shona from Zimbabwe, and they play this instrument that is over 1,000 years old. Okay, among the Shona people who created an amazing, great civilization in Zimbabwe, and it is called Mbira. And they will be talking to you or playing and all those things, but they are amazing musicians, travel all over the world. I mean, Europe, of course, US, and all Africa too. And they are also instrument makers. They make the Mbira. Not that often that people who play instruments do make the instruments themselves. As you know, if you are music students, and sometimes people ask me that question, you know, if you play piano, that doesn't mean you manufacture piano. You may be a very good piano player, but maybe not, or violin or something like that. But in their case, they make some of the amazing, and they have some of them here. Mbira, that's a demand all over the world. Their grandfather was a spirit medium in Zimbabwe, and so they come from a long line, generations upon generations upon generations of Mbira players among the Shona. So the first handclap was to welcome me here, which I appreciate, but this time, let's give them the Michigan welcome, a big one.
Before we get into any discussion, let's hear a bit about the Mbira. Let's test it. And the song we are playing you is called Masangano, which means here we meet. Now, this instrument called Mbira, M-B-I-R-A, has got 3 registers. The right hand, which you use by plucking from the underside, using your right index finger, and you always have to keep nails. You pluck from the underside. And then we have the middle register. The right-hand register, we call it in Shona, N-H-E-T-E-T-E. In English, that will be, the high-pitched voices of the girls. And the middle register is what we call Ne-uri. Ne-uri, N-H-E-U-R-I, which means the lead. This is the range that leads in every song, the middle register. And then the lower register is called Mavumira, M-A-B-V-U-M-I-R-A, which is the register for the bass notes. Now, it is important to know that with Mbira, they all have the same pitches. two of them. And usually two people usually have to play in order to make a song wholesome. And the lead, like I was doing, the lead player concentrates mostly on the middle register. And then Mbira, which is the bass notes, which Sam has been playing. He usually plays on the bass notes. But then it creates a music that, the music from the kushaura part, which is the lead in Shona, kushaura, which is the lead, it interacts with him. And the bass notes are always, or mostly, one pulse behind the kushaura, which is the lead. Now, the keys, as you heard Professor Kwasi Yampene saying that we also manufacture them. We use high carbon steel that we forge hammer. And we buy these from some spring manufacturing companies. And we stretch the spring, forge hammer it according to the respective shapes. One may want to think, oh, look, they look like spoons. But that's how we make them. We have to make each and every key just like that. And then they are fixed on what we call a guariva. This wooden this wood is guariva. G-W-A-R-I-V-A, guariva. And the wood is indigenous to most parts of Africa. The wood can be found in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, Malawi, Mozambique, Zambia, and going upwards. I guess in Ghana, do you have? Yeah, we have seen that. The type of wood is called mubamaropa. Or in English, it can literally be said blood wood, because it oozes a fluid that looks like blood when you cut off the bark. So it's called blood tree. Now, in most of the music in Africa, I wouldn't say in Zimbabwe only, we use shakers. Can some demonstrate for us? We're going to play just a little bit so that you hear the combination of me playing the Mbira and him playing the Osho. Thank you. This Mbira, you see, we use, has got 24 keys. But Mbira, it's called the Mbira Huru, and it has 24 keys. But in general, most Mbiras can have 22 up to 28 keys, depending on one's creativity. But Mbira has to have 22 keys generally. And then, from this instrument, like this one I'm holding here is called a damba tsoko. Damba tsoko. We called it damba tsoko from the village where we live. That's where our forefathers are buried, and we call the instrument damba tsoko. That's where it comes from. But when you are in Zimbabwe, you find that some people have got other sizes or different pitches of this same instrument. And some of them can be even higher. Hence, other people can have anything from 22 to 28 keys. Now, this instrument, the damba tsoko, or any Mbira, in Zimbabwe, they say archaeologists discovered an Mbira that was 1,100 years old. And It was found at Great Zimbabwe. I think Professor Mpene mentioned that. That was only archaeologists who discovered it. But it can be even far much older than that. But we do not have documentation to prove it, because nothing was documented then. So that's how old the Mbira can be. Now,
Freddy, before we go on, let's see if they have questions.
Yes.
What you tell them, and then we can play another music.
Sure. Okay. Anyone with questions?
Yeah. Don't be shy, okay, because you don't want them to leave and then you ask Christy all the questions. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, this is your chance, this is your opportunity. Don't be shy. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Does every instrumentalist have the same tuning inside their instrument? Like from different parts of Zimbabwe, everybody has, the instrument, they have the same tuning on the same tone.
All right. We have this, what we call Mbira Zimu, which can have 22 to 28 keys. And with this type of Mbira Zimu, there are two major tunings. This one, which is called the Mbira Zimu, and another one called the Mavembe. It is slightly different from this one. And then, when we go in the northern part of Zimbabwe, we have the Matoko and the Watonga. They play what they call Njari. And Njari can have anything between 35 and 52 keys. So generally, these are the two main instruments of this type. And somebody...
Does it help you? Does it help you? Did it answer your question?
No, I kind of asked,
okay.
If he's playing an instrument, and he met another, say, a musician from the south of Zimbabwe, and they play, they may take their own instrument, right? Yeah. But if their instrument doesn't fit each other, they don't fit each other.
Okay, so this is the basic thing, and that's why I asked you again, because I know we did not get it, and we will try as much as possible to get the language thing going, right? So, yes, unlike here where we do scientific tunings with well-tempered things, where we have machines and, measuring the cycles of this, in most, okay, now we are talking about this, so let's do this. It's tied, the tuning is in the year, tied to the language, okay? So they don't, it's not going to be fixed tuning for everybody, it's going to be slightly different, even within the two that they have here. So in any given moment, you are not going to have exact tuning. It's going to be slight differences, even within the shona. Okay, but meanwhile, he has explained to you that they have two types of tunings, right? He has explained to you. So even within those two types, you won't have exact, right? Okay, so that should help you. There was a hand here. Yes.
Back 1,000 years ago, were they in here made with the same materials? Because there's bottle caps around here.
Well, yeah. Yes, it's a good question. Long back, the Mbiras were not make first days. They were making maybe from the trees, from the wood. Then, because of the development of what can we say, when people discovered the iron, then because the wood breaks easily, and then later they discovered the iron, then they used.
Originally,
originally they were not. Like the tree that he's talking about. It can be a cane, the back of a cane, bamboo or something like that, right? So initially, over several thousands of years. But you know how people, civilizations, it's interesting when they present Africa as if Africa is a static continent, nothing, moves. Africa is the same 2,000 years ago. Cultures are not like that. Cultures are always dynamic, right? So he said when they, maybe about 1,000 years ago, when they discovered metal in Zimbabwe, they shifted. As right now, I'll let them tell you what this is, okay? What this is. I would let them tell you what this is, because,
This gourd, or the resonator that I'm holding, is made out of synthetic fiber, which is fiberglass. But originally, we have always been using the naturally grown, a large pumpkin that we call a gourd. I think we all know what a gourd is. And because that a gourd is fragile, we cannot travel using it. It can break. That's why we're using this. And also for the jingles, we used to use wheat seeds or snail shells that are tied around the edge of the gourd, of the resonator, for it to produce this sound.
So you see, that was a very good question, right? So you see how the people adjust, cultures adjust to differences. So yes, still, when you go to his village, he will use the gourd, the original gourd. He will use this fiberglass. But when he's traveled around the world, you know how it is, right? So anyway, here, there was a hand here. What about you? You had a question, right? Okay, so... yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, does it sound different from when you use the original instrument than this one?
Yes.
Would you say, which one would you prefer?
The original from the field.
Well, the sound is a rich sound comes from the original gourd. And although this one sounds really good, yes, it's not bad, but it's richer in sound. Yes.
Are there any originals that have been preserved or saved, or just
It's what?
like the original instruments? Have you seen any?
No.
No, they're gone.
Yeah.
No, the oldest Mbira that I've seen is 200 years old. We still have it at home.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to go back to the material again. Long back, I think when we were at home, listen from the spirits, they also told us the first days they were using the back of can we say the membrane of the tree,
the back of the tree.
The back of the tree. They were modifying so that it should look like this, but while the rough is present, then they just put they were just putting then they play. It was
So
working.
what I'm going to do is, you're asking amazing, excellent questions. Well, why don't we take in another music? Okay, let's take in another music, maybe this time a little bit longer, right? That was too short. A little bit longer music, and then we can continue with the conversation. Okay, good. Yeah.
We would like to talk about why we play Mbira. How does it happen in Zimbabwe? Now, in the Shona culture, when families have some kind of problem, we communicate through our forefathers, our ancestors. When there's a drought, we ask for the rains from the ancestors. When there's a family problem, we ask our ancestors for guidance. And so there is us, the whole structure goes like this. There are the living beings. And then we have family ancestral spirits. And then those are called Vadzimu, V-A-D-Z-I-M-U. And these were the family spirits, and the rest are people who passed on, who died a long time ago, and then they come back as spirit to guide the living beings. And then there are what we call makombwe. These are known as the rainmakers, and they are the spirits higher than the family spirits. And then there is the creator. Creator in Shona, we call him Mwari, M-W-A-R-I. So if, for instance, a family has got a problem such as that there can be a long dry spell and the crops will be wilting. I may remind you that as soon as we get back home, it's going to be summer and we'll be starting to cultivate our lands. And so that's the time. And also as soon as we go back, we are going to hold this ceremony, the rain-making ceremony, on the 29th of September. So when we are communicating with them, we have the rains. When we need the rains, we ask our family spirits to communicate through their channels to the Creator so that we can have the rains. And so the family spirits, which are the Wadzimu, relay the message to Makombwe, then the Makombwe to Mwari, the Creator. And then the message goes back through the same channel, back to the living beings. And the people who, the way we communicate with the ancestral spirits, is through spirit mediums. The Wadzimu possess onto a spirit medium, and then through the spirit medium, we relay the message. And any spirit can choose who they want to possess onto. And for people to know that this person is going to be a spirit medium, it starts from a very early age, maybe even 1 year or even 2 years. Through some health problems, a child can start crying and can have this very high temperature. But when they go to a medical doctor for a diagnosis, the doctor may not find what the problem is with this child who is always crying. And then, because of their knowledge of the tradition, they will go to option B, if I can call it that, option B, which is to consult a traditional healer who will confirm that this child is going to be a spirit medium. And then, when they go to the traditional healer, the traditional healer will advise them to perform a ritual to accept that spirit so that it possesses onto their child. So, when they go home, they perform this ritual, and then that crying is gone. All those problems are gone. But then, the spirit will not possess onto this person as soon as this ritual is done. It will stay until this medium is old or mature enough to attend traditional ceremonies and rituals. I say so because children are not even allowed to go where rituals are taking place. And so mostly you have from 20 years onwards, a person can start to be a spirit, can get to be possessed by the spirit. So as soon as all this is done, then people can always consult him for if there's a problem in the family. So this is generally how we come to communicate with the ancestors, through this spirit medium. And then we perform all these rituals. When that spirit is there, he gives advice. Now, before we go any further, we would like to have some questions.
Yeah. Okay, so quickly, before you don't lose your thoughts, right? He started this comment by saying, why do they play this Mbira in Zimbabwe? Do you remember that? Yeah. So he started by framing it in a question way, and that is how he came up with all this narrative, saying that that is why they play this music. In other words, this is the function or the role of this instrument in their culture is what he's talking about, in case we miss it. That's why I want to make sure that we get it, right? It is, this is, in Shona or a lot of African cultures, music is highly spiritual. There's nothing like music for music's sake. Let me play music but music is highly spiritual, and it is this music that is able to communicate with the ancestors that he's talking about, so that they calm down. And I want you not to lose that fact, okay? So now he's ready for your questions, okay?
Yes.
So how old are the compositions that you play on the instrument, and does anyone really make new compositions for the instrument?
Okay. All the compositions that we play, they are old compositions that have been played over and over and over again, because they are the compositions that can call those ancestors. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Yes?
It was said earlier that the tuning is a little different for each instrument because it's based off the language. I was wondering, do you use the instrument for any other kind of communicating purposes other than like spiritual? Would you use it to like send messages or something?
Well, the instrument is used basically to communicate with the ancestors. Okay. But then we also use the instrument to play at weddings. When we are hanging out during the weekends, like like on Saturdays and Sunday when I just hanging out, pick up our Mbiras, play, and just enjoy the music. Just that. And also, okay, before I go to you, and also we have, you can see us here. That's the best. That's another purpose for which we use the instrument for. We teach other people. People from other cultures are free to learn the instrument. Yeah. Yes?
Any of the music for this instrument, like, notated, or is it just passed down through oral tradition, or?
Well, it's passed out through oral tradition. First of all these children might, during times when there's no consultation with the spirits, I remember we used to join in the fun, dance, and we'll do all that. But all that music was, we were being immersed in the music. And so, by so doing, you'll be getting the music, you'll be learning the music by participating. And each time we were out there in the fields or even herding our cattle, we would imitate the sound of the tunes that we were hearing and playing, those compositions. And then we would sing. Dun, 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 dun. And so it became easier for us to pick up Mbira and figure out, check which key can pick out whatever note I want to play for that particular tune. So, and then eventually, if somebody finds that, oh, this kid is very interested in learning the Mbira, they can say, come, I will teach you. Then you are taught, and it's easy to get to learn.
So the idea of location is very, very interesting, and we will get to everybody. Don't lose your question. The idea of location is very, very interesting, especially for those who are used to, right, written sources and all those things. So all that I will say quickly is that even though it's oral, there are nuances, there are markers in that orality to make you remember, okay, they may not be visual, but there are something like oral too in notation. So it's not just for nothing. You know, there are mechanisms in the culture, in the oral culture, okay? All right. Go on.
Somebody?
Go on.
Okay.
How old were you when you started playing the piano?
I was 8 years old. I started playing. Yeah. Yes?
Are you a medium?
I'm not. We are both not mediums. Thank you. That's somewhere there.
Is it traditionally played with just two people, or are there bigger groups of people playing in Mbira?
Yes. Usually we have an array of Mbira players. We can have, like at our place, we can have as many as 11 or 12 Mbira players playing the same tune all together and everybody else dancing. Because our music is participatory. Everybody can dance and sing and join in the fun. Yeah, okay.
So
Sorry.
the mediums will use the Mbira to channel the ancestors. Is it used as the instrument is used as a channel for the voices?
Right. So when we, maybe I left that one during my discussion. When we, during the time of performing a ritual to accept that spirit onto the child, we play Mbira for the spirit to come, and then when they dance and dance and dance, then the spirit comes and possesses onto that person, and the person, the spirit medium goes into a trance during the process of playing the Mbira. Yes, somebody there? Yes?
When you're not playing for a ritual, do you ever like improvise a new composition or pattern?
Improvising the pattern of playing, it just comes. Even in most cases when we are playing in a ceremony, you just feel you can improvise. It just comes when you are just playing. Not in most cases when you are hanging out, but when we are playing, you can find sometimes somebody just coming up with some improvisation of some sort.
But quickly on improvisation, okay, because I know when music students say improvisation, sometimes the idea of improvisation is always based on formulas. Okay, it's not done for nothing. But in this music for instance, or in this type of oral-based music, when the impulse, you always want to listen very well. Here in the School of Music, classical, if there's a conductor, okay, and so there are some kind of, all kinds of ways for us to play that music, and you have to follow the conductor and what is waiting there. Although there are instances in classical music where Bach, for instance, was improvising on, okay, but sometimes I don't want people to think improvisation is easy. You can just go and do anything you want. It is always based on some formulas. But what is great about this is your ability to hear and also respond. Okay, you hear and respond instantly. A split second, somebody may do something that may move you. Okay, so they may be the actual thing, melody means you, but because you are moved or you are carried to a different plane, it helps you to respond to make that context. Okay, in other words, when you move to a different context, right now, I mean, it's different when they have to wake up like 6 a.m. and bring them here and play for you, and everybody's sitting down like this. You know, there's no participation, there's no nothing. The impulse is tough. I was sitting here and watching and looking at you. It's going to be tough. And I know nobody wants to disturb the music, right? Because here we want to watch the music, but for us, music is not something you watch. It's oral, you know. So anyway, so that is about improvisation. I know there are other people who wants to ask me.
Yes, somebody there.
Mine was also sort of about improvisation, and I was kind of wondering if every time you play a song, is it kind of the exact same every time you play it, or you kind of do you sing it the exact same way every time, or is it kind of you're just feeling it and kind of?
I think, well, it's the same, just like the professor has just alluded to. It comes and you can say anything. You can sing whatever you want, and it's not always structured. Yeah, it comes by, you get inspired by people who are dancing, yourself and the other Mbira players. And then all of a sudden you start singing. And even when I am playing with Sam here, I need to have a feel of the music before I can get into even the singing. So that's basically how it comes. Okay? Yes?
What were you singing just now in the piece you played for us?
I was singing about a person who this is about during the times of Great Zimbabwe. This was one of the kings at Great Zimbabwe, and he was a very wise man. And I was singing in praise of what he used to do for the people. And I have always sung this song in respect of people that help other people. Like we have always been saying, and he has also said that before, that we perform for the people. There are many structures that are laid down to assist the communities, because the communities in Zimbabwe are very tightly knit. And so it's obvious that some people may be, maybe poor, and then the community comes to help. And this man was one of those people who helped all these other people. So it's a song about people who help other people. Thank you. Somebody, yes?
How many different instruments would be involved in one ceremony?
Well, Mbira is only Mbira, clapping hands, singing, and rattles, and washo, the one that he has shown you. These are the main instruments. The instrument, the Mbira, washo, and the clapping of hands, and dancing. And the type of dancing is shangara. When you are dancing for Mbira, it's shangara, S-H-A-N-G-A. Shangara is like tap dancing.
Can you
Yeah,
play?
he can play. Okay. Yeah, he can play.
He wants to demonstrate for you, right?
Yeah, let us demonstrate it for you.
the last person. What did they say? Oh, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I want to say. Okay, so guys, you have this idea where they say Africa drums is all the music, the instrument that they play in Africa. Have you heard that before? So here you are, the main instrument is not a drum, right? It is this keyed instrument. Okay, so whoever tells you that Africa is just drums and drums is not true. Okay? Yeah. There are places where they even sing just voices. And they don't use the drum. And also in Africa, all the instruments that you know in the world, if you come to Africa, thousands of varieties. So if you are talking about the flute, you will see thousands of varieties of flutes. This Mbira, for instance, he mentioned one from the northern part of Zimbabwe, right? With the type that they play. Now, all over Africa, different types of things. Okay, and for the people who even use just the voice to sing, they use the body as an accompaniment. Okay, so whoever, so this is a very good lesson for us. Okay, and the one thing that I want you to also remember about this meeting, what they did here, is also the fact that the person who is playing the instrument, and this is keyed instrument, by the way. Okay, this is a keyed instrument. We can get pitches. They may not be exactly key C or D or U or W. Okay, but they are pitches. Okay, so they are keyed instruments, right? But he's playing and singing at the same time, which means in these cultures, the poet and the composer and the singer, one and the same, and even the dancer, because he was moving his body. Okay, so we want you to know all these little nuances about a culture like this. We don't take everything for granted. Okay, in a culture because this is what goes on, and there are other things. Now, if you listen to this, the music also, why is it able to do what they want to do? So maybe I need to ask a question. So, for instance, when they play the piece, the music is highly cyclical, right? It's not linear. Okay, and cyclical is there's a lot of cyclical aspects in a lot of African music. The music is always not going to be linear. The beginning, the middle, the end. Okay, that is why the music can go on 6 hours, 8 hours, okay, because I know we go to a concert here, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I want to go home, I need to go home, okay, so we go home and all those things. The music can go on and on because the more you play, the more you feel it. And if you feel it spiritually, then you don't even know the sense of time. So it can go on. 8 hours, one song alone can, because sometimes a spirit may come and they want a particular music and the spirit is dancing, you can't stop. You can't stop that particular music because the spirit wants that music. You play for 2-3 hours. The same, listen, of course, it's always going to be there. Each time cycle might be the same, but it's different. We may hear it as the same, oh, he's playing the same thing, but I can tell you that it's the same but different, okay? And then also they have all kinds of theories underlying this. I don't know if you recall very well, he talked about the leading part and he gave it a name in his language. Do you remember? He said the leading part is what? Can you say that for us? The leading part on this is
Kusha-ura.
Kusha-ura, the leading part. So if they have a terminology for it, that means they have a music theory too. It is not only in our Western system that we have music theory. They have a theory that informs them what to do and what not to do. Okay? So, and then after the leading part, then what comes next?
Kutsinira.
You see? You see? So the person who comes, the follower, is called, again, can you say that for us?
Kutsinira.
Can we all say that, by the way? Can we all say that? Kutsinira. Excellent. You guys can speak other languages and you're just sitting down, right? Good. So, yeah. We have about less than 5 minutes, so he's going to play, he wants to play something, a concluding piece for you. And I'm sure Christy will have an announcement for you, so don't storm out of here, okay? And let's thank them first before we storm out of here.
Okay, the song we're going to play you is called Mukazo Ndidana. A song played during the procession when we are going to a sacred tree. And it has now been adopted in our country to inspire players. soccer players. You know, soccer game in Zimbabwe is very, very popular. And each time the home team is playing against the regional team, even against Ghana, you know, they play this song, which means Yawe nyama yekugocha, which literally means you are now roast meat.
But if you don't and you'd like to come see the instruments, there are some right here. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.